welcome to my Scrappin space. I'm Joni Martin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator located in Southwest Wisconsin. And I have, if I say so myself, a very pretty card to share with you today that I think you could use for lots of occasions. I'm going to need a birthday card, so that's what I made mine. But you could really make it any kind of card you want. What do you say? We get my face out of the way and start making a card. So I used paper from Thoughtful Journey, which is the papers come 6x6, and you can get 2 card fronts out of 1 piece of paper. I'll show you that. And I paired it with Petunia Pop, but really these papers have so many colors in, you can pair it with whatever color. I'm just been really enjoying using that lately. And then the other piece, I paired it with the Birchwood embossing folder. Any overall embossing folder would work. What do you say we do some die cutting and embossing, and I'll show you how we're going to put this card together. So let's emboss first, and we're going to emboss 2 things on our card. We're going to emboss the card front, which is your standard math size, 4 by 5 1/4, and we know the directions are on my blog, scrappinwithjoni.com. So I'm going to emboss this piece of paper, and when I do that, I'm going to place it between here, and I'm going to pay attention to the direction. So this is going up and down, which is what I want on my card. If I want my card going the other way, I could certainly emboss this way too. But that would then have, if you're not sure how it's going to look, kind of turn your folder. That would have the lines going across, and I want them going up and down. Honestly, I probably spent too much time chatting about that already. Just emboss. So this embossing folder is called Birchwood, and I just like the overall look of it. And I'm going to use plates 1 and 4 because it's a 3D embossing folder. Plate 1 comes, all the plates come with your system, and you always use plate 1. Then I'm going to put my embossing folder, and plate 4 in this system is the colored one, which is the dark gray, and that's going on top. And we're just going to run that through, just like that. And I am paying attention because my setup here is a little tight, and I don't want to hit the camera stand. So then we went from just a flat piece of paper to something that has some lovely texture. Now the other thing I'm going to use the embossing folder for is the envelope flap. You've heard me say before, we're not going to make beautiful cards and send them out in naked envelopes. But because of how I'm using this paper, I don't have as much to use for an envelope flap. And you don't have to use paper. You can stamp or you can emboss, which is what we're going to do now. So when I'm embossing, I'm just going to set this aside to show you how it sets up in the machine because it's a little different. I want to emboss just the envelope flap part. So I want the embossing to stop at that fold line. So I'm going to set this in here. And I'm lining up not the end of the folder, but the end of the embossing. And I see that's kind of hard to see, but the embossing stops maybe a 1/16 of an inch. And if it's that close, maybe it doesn't even matter. But we're going to set this on our plate so that the envelope, let's turn this so you can see it. See how the envelope is on the whole plate and the embossing folder is coming off, because we just want to do the end of it. So then we're going to set it down just like we did before. I'm going to push that plate through. And again, I'm going to put plate number 4 on top because that's what we use with this embossing folder. And then we're just going to roll it through. And you're going to hear it go bump because we're coming off the end of that plate. This is not going too far because next we're going to cut. But I just want to show you, we went from a standard flat envelope, to an embossed envelope flap. Doesn't that? It's so easy. And actually, you can do 2 at a time. I did 1 because that's all I needed for the card right now. And I'm going to cough. I apologize. I'm going to just take a quick drink. Allergies are running high around here. And then we've had a lot of wind, which just increases more allergies. So yes. All right. So now let's move on to doing some die cutting. We need just half of this. So for class, we cut these into, I cut them into 3-inch pieces, and they could pick what you want to see through your arch. Do you want to just see this? I kind of like seeing a little bit of the color at top, so that's where I put mine. And because we're die cutting, we're going to put plate 1 and plate 2, a clear plate, and then we will lay down what we're going to die cut. And you can, this is from Everyday Arches, and there's a variety of sizes of arches, and I can cut both sizes I need for this card at the same time. And I picked up Mossy Meadow for the background, you know, like kind of the matte for the arch, but clearly there's lots of colors you can use. I picked Mossy Meadow one because it was one of the colors in there, but I loved how it, I loved how it popped against that Petunia Pop card base. Okay, we're going to set this down and hold it in place. So my sandwich now is 1, 2, and 2 3s with the second number 3 plate on top, because we always want a plate on top, whether we're embossing or die cutting. And we're going to just run it. Yes, it's supposed to make that noise, and yes, it's going to mark up your plate. There we go. Now we are done with our cut and emboss machine. We're going to set that aside. That's kind of noisy, isn't it? We'll grab these pieces and get this out of our way. So I have this piece. I'm going to stop and put that die back. Do you ever lose things on your crafting table? Yeah, I think mine eats products sometimes. I can't find something on it. There we go. Okay. So we have this pretty piece and this pretty piece that we've die cut. We have our card front. Remember, this is what we're making. So we'll set this here as our guide. Now let's go back to the other pieces that we're going to need. I chose to do a matte and a card base in the same color. You wouldn't have to. I just kind of like that look of that little embossed right on top of there. But that's me. So this card base is getting folded in half. Again, all of the numbers, the products I used, the steps to put the card together, you'll find on my Scrappin with Joni blog. Now, before I attach this to here, I want to add the ribbon, because the ribbon kind of wraps around the back of the card. I am just tying a knot. There's not a bow here. And my rule of thumb for ribbon, oh guys, talk about your craft table eating something. Here we go. My rule of thumb, it's hiding under the papers. For ribbon is, if I'm just knotting it, I do approximately 3 times the, the width. If I'm tying a bow, it's 4 times. So if this is 4 inches, I need about 12. So we're going to cut that. I'm measuring at the bottom of my glass mat, and I realize you can't see that, but my glass mat has numbers at the bottom to help me measure. And then I'm going to tie a knot to this side because I want my little arches over here, but you can put it wherever you want. I'm going to grab glue dots because they're going to help me hold this knot in place. And I want it, oh, let's say about 1.5 inches up. And there we go. I'm using the grid to help me. And I'm going to take a glue dot. And our glue dots come on these rolls of paper, and you roll it back till you can see that clear glue dot, which I think it's catching the light and you can see it. And we're going to attach that glue dot right where I want the knot. Let's say I want the knot right there. And I don't know about you, but I have to kind of turn it around to get my knot to fall where I want it. I have no idea why. Maybe it's just a peculiarity with me. But you're going to tie the knot, and when you make that first knot, you're going to catch it on the glue dot. And what that does is, it's easier for you to hold it in place while you tie the second knot, and you know it's landed where you want it. I'm going to knot it again. And then I'm not going to trim it. There we go. Obviously, it's going to have to be trimmed. But I'm going to wait until I add this so I kind of know where I want it to land. But before I do that, I'm going to attach it to my card base. It's just easier. I feel like it gives me a better perspective when I can see where it is on the card base. So this is a great job for our multi-purpose glue because, as you can see, it's a heavily embossed area, and a tape runner could just kind of go right over the top of that and not really adhere. I'm being pretty generous, but I'm also leaving an area around the outside of there. So when I push this down, I'm not going to have glue because the glue is going to spread out and I don't want it to go out on my card base. So we're going to make sure that my card base starts straight. That just improves the odds of my getting this mat on straight. So I'm attaching our embossed mat with the ribbon around it. And by doing that, see that it's going to catch the ribbon underneath and make sure it's flat everywhere. Now this one. So I'm going to use dimensionals, and think of dimensionals like foam that are sticky. They're going to come off this sticky and then I can peel the backing off and have them sticky again. I'm going to put some here, and I'm not going right to the edge. I'll explain why in a second here. We're going to go here and here. And then we're going to take those backings off. And I have a little bowl to catch the backings. They're really staticky, and if you don't contain them right away, they're going to stick to your clothes and your shoes. If you have a pet in your crafting space, they just like to stick to anything and travel. So by containing them, they stay in one place. My friend Jennifer, who's a demonstrator, taught me that trick. And then these arch dies go up by a little bit as they go up, and so it's really fun. You have a narrow mat. Now I'm going to add more dimensionals. I just don't want to add them where I can feel the other ones, because that will give me a double thickness of dimensionals, which depending on your post office could mean you have to pay extra postage. And let's get these cards in the mail and not have anything stop us like paying extra postage. So I'm just peeling them off, making sure that I don't have one dimensional directly over another one. And again, we're going to peel off the back just like this. And that one didn't want to go in the bowl. It wants to travel. There we go. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to attach this just to the right of my ribbon. And now I can trim my ribbon. So I have one pair of snips that has beads hanging from it. I have different sets with beads. And this is my reminder when I go to grab it to cut paper that it is not for paper. It is only for ribbon, because by not cutting paper with it, I am keeping it sharp. Look how smooth that cut that ribbon. There we go. Now we got this far and I felt like it needed one more thing, though it's very pretty the way it is. So I wanted something kind of neutral. And I grabbed antique pearls. I love these embellishments. And they are kind of a pearl color. And they're in 3 different sizes in terms of the diameter. They're all about the same height. And I'm going to go right in the middle here. And we're going to do 3 of them. When I add embellishments to a card, I like to do an odd number, and 3 works great because then you can do a roughly triangular shape, which is a little more visually pleasing. Roughly triangular does not mean that it has to be, a certain kind of triangle. It just means 2 of them are hanging out by themselves together and 1 is by itself. Look at that card front. Now at this point, you could make this any kind of card you're in need of. Sympathy. Thinking of you, get well soon. I need birthdays. So I chose a stamp set from Poised Peony. Say that a few times. Because it has this great birthday sentiment. Look at that. Best birthday wishes. You don't need to say anything else. Now I do want to add a little interest to it though. So I have just a scrap of the paper that we used on the front, and I'm going to attach that to the inside. I'm going to put just a little bit of my multi-purpose glue here, and I'm putting the glue on the card insert and not on there because the card insert is narrower. If I put glue all the way across the back of here, I'm going to have glue everywhere, and I just don't really need that. I can make a big enough mess without doing that. So we're going to attach this. We're going to use, look, I went to reach for the scissors. This is why I need to mark it, because otherwise I grab it for everything else. And my other paper snip scissors is not here. So we're going to use the really big ones. Yeah, again, I think I don't think I'm a messy crafter. I think my craft table is like just hiding things from me. There we go. Like so. Look what what a difference a 1/2 inch scrap of paper makes on this card. Now we're going to attach this, and this you can use your multi-purpose glue again if that's what you want. I love tape runners. I don't make as big a mess. I use Seal Plus, that works better for me, but you know, whatever works for you. And then when we attach this in here, look at that. All this comes together and it just adds a bit more interest. So now we have a very pretty birthday card. And all the list of supplies I used, again, the arch dies, the embossing folder, all of that. Check out Scrappin with Joni. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it more than you know. If you liked what you saw, please share it with one of your crafty friends. Until next time, take care and keep crafting. It's good for you.